Hi, I'm Kirsty. And this is my husband, Julian. We're both parents to this little fur baby, Indy. And we've also, luckily, got a little man here called Rory who loves the water.
We are sea lovers who love projects. We sold our 37-foot easy catamaran to help pay for house renovations before our little man arrived, and have since been in search of a new project. 6 months ago we finally found our new boatie. Exactly how we wanted it, within reason, with changes to make, things to fix. So the plan is this box here, which was carrying the inside gear lever and all our breakers for the boat. Going to pull everything out. We're moving the gear lever up onto the dash, get it up out of the way, and we're going to take this box, try and reuse it. My plan is to pull everything off, block the holes up, turn the box around and recess it into this cavity. Main reason, just open the corner up, give us a bit more space, and we might even put a door on it. Bright little red buttons, a little guy likes playing with them, so if we can lock it up so you can't get to it, that's probably going to be a bonus. Another job we've tackled on the boat is this dash. Again, I don't take photos or videos, so we don't have anything showing the process of the build, but when we first picked the boat up, the one thing that really disturbed me on this vessel was the dash started at the top here. We'll show you some photos, and pretty much ran on an angle all the way down to the front here. So I had nowhere to sit my bickies and cheese or my rum when motoring and sitting in the captain's seat. Clearly that wasn't going to fly, so I've cut a big hole on the dash and modified everything to look as it does now. Pretty much the construction is out of plywood, and because I couldn't help myself, we've gone for a carbon finish. We've used a carbon twill, so if you look really closely at the carbon, you'll see the sort of crow's feet or weave in it. That one's what we call a twill, and I've used an epoxy resin with a UV stable hardener. So epoxies will yellow in the sun unless you get a specific hardener that will help stop that. We've moved also the engine controller, which was sitting on the side here, on a box that was built out. We've got a plan with this box. We're going to reuse the original box. I'm going to modify it, spin it round and have the box recessed into this cavity, opposed to sitting out like it did. And then in doing that means the engine controller had to go somewhere, so I've moved this up onto the dash here. As far as instruments, it's still in the process of being worked out, but generally we'll have engine tacho and instruments up here, maybe some USB charging ports over here, and as far as navigation and a chart plotter at the moment, we're probably going to go an iPad mount somewhere that's not too intrusive, and leave an iPad with the boat. Either that or we'll end up with a really small GPS mounted in here somewhere as well. Still a work in progress, and we'll see what the budget allows when it comes to it.
I've just finished sanding all of our trims for our saloon area. Just removed any old carpet that was stuck down the back edge and sanded all the front and side edges. Basically what's going to be visible when it's attached inside the boat. I've sanded basically all 6 pieces, and what I am just doing now is I'm waxing them with turpentine just to basically show up any light marks on it. when we get a bit of light marks up on the wood, just indicates that there's still varnish present. So gone across that, found 1 or 2 parts, mainly on the actual corner of the wood. So I've gone over, fixed that little layer of mine, and we've got 6 bits ready to go into the boat. The plan is they'll obviously go in. They will need to be actually plugged once they're put in, but at the moment, because we've still got carpet and marine wall upholstery carpet to go in the boat, we're just going to leave these open because we may have to adjust these when we eventually get fitted in. So that's a job ticked off.
One of the big issues, or the main issue we had when we brought this boat, was the mast was pushing its way through the deck. So this boat's got what you'd call a deck step mast, which means the mast sits up on top of the deck, and then you've got this mast post or king post underneath the mast, which runs all the way down to floor frames or the keel to stop the mast from pushing its way through the boat. This boat, being the vintage it is, I'm suggesting it's probably had a leak for a long time around this kind of area, water coming down through bolts and certain bits and pieces. All the frames underneath this post here had rotted out, meaning there wasn't a whole lot of support under the mast, and the mast was starting to compress the cabin top and try and make its way inside. So for me, not being very good with phones and not taking any photos, we've already done this repair, and a rough rundown of what it entailed was rig out of the boat, mast post out, all this cabinetry came out of the boat, and then the floors down here, try to keep everything as small as possible, but had to cut a certain amount of floor away and gain access to underneath the floor here. Look at, we've got the aft frame, middle and forward frame, and these are the main 3 frames that have a big heavy timber running across them all, and that's what the mast post sits on. Now all these 3 through the centre areas you could pretty much put a hammer through. These boats are generally pretty well built. These are frames originally of plywood, and they've got a little bit of glass either side, and they're mainly relying on the plywood structure there to help hold everything up. So holes cut in the floor to gain as much access as I needed to cut all the rotten bits of plywood out. Lots of dust, lots of mess. The long and short, or the nuts and bolts of it, cut out the damaged and rotted timber, let in new bits of plywood, and then what we've done is made some big heavy, or probably 5mm glass plates, and glued either side of all these frames past where the timber had joined, and glassed everything back into the boat. Now a lot of the time when doing repairs on boats, people tend to go for epoxy. The boat's originally built out of polyester resin. I'm a big fan myself of using vinyl ester. It's, well, they call it a modified epoxy. It's a little bit better quality than polyester. I like staying with polyester because it means that, how do I explain it? Epoxy can go over polyester and vinyl ester. Vinyl ester, and flow coat, which is, say, the finish that's inside here, flow coat and gel coat. It doesn't work the other way around. So polyesters and vinyl esters generally won't go over epoxy and dry. I like keeping the material sort of like for like. Means that once everything was finished down in here, we could use what we call a flow coat. Got good coverage, it's really hard wearing, and with all these products you can control dry times quite easily with the amount of what we call catalyst or hardener that we put in the resins, where epoxy you don't quite have the same amount of control, which means you get a lot more done in a shorter period of time.
So since we last caught up, we've basically been putting together our bedroom, which is technically called our master bedroom. One of the main parts of this room is that we had to rip out this cupboard because of our mast dip or our mast post. So we've eventually, or should I say Julian's, managed to get it back in, which is pretty exciting. We've revarnished the front on this drawer and this cupboard. At the current time, we are going to leave this as it is, mainly because it's probably going to get keys or just all sorts chucked on top of it for the time being. I am thinking that maybe we will put shelving on here just to basically add to this, but right now we're just going to leave it because it's a bit of a random sort of space and a bit of a wasted kind of area for the time being. So, but we haven't made our mind up just yet. And last time when we caught up, we were showing you the 2 doors that we decided to paint. We haven't proceeded with doing this door, mainly because we haven't had it out the boat. So we've decided if we're not pulling it out, we're just going to leave it as it is. That's something we can do down the track when she's in the water, she's floating, and maybe we just pull it off for a week, sand it down, paint it, put it back on. So it's not a huge drama. But we did do these doors. So this is technically our master bedroom door. And we've also done our bathroom door. So it's given it a nice sort of lift here. And I'm loving how bright it is in here. Before, you would have seen in the videos, this was varnished, this was varnished. Everything was wood, everything was very dark. At the moment, we're getting the light reflecting through our kitchen window, or our galley window, and it's reflecting off all the white panels. So it's really lightened up this whole section of the boat. Most Zeston 40s tend to have varnish work all the way through. I've done a bit of research to see if any other Zeston 40 has gone with a white interior. So far, we're the only ones that I have found that have done so. So it's kind of exciting. So this afternoon I've been spending a big chunk of time removing the old adhesive that was left behind from the old carpet that we had on our interior walls. It was mainly basically running along this panel. Still quite a bit is still left. So what I'm doing is I'm using a thinner to remove as much as I can without actually coming in contact with the varnish work, which is tricky and has me a little bit panicky, but so far I haven't managed to touch it. We've got it on everywhere that has had carpet attached. So that's obviously including here, it's also including up here. I'm not too worried about the actual part of, especially on that section, I'm just leaving that for the time being. It's mainly on this section where it's quite chunky, and this side wasn't too bad. When I was trying to remove this, scraping it off was fine. It was quite dusty, but the original adhesive that was used, it's a lot thicker and is proving to be a little bit of a demon. So I'm using a wattle thinner, an L760, which I would advise for anyone using this product or anything as strong as this, ensure that you have all your windows open, add in as much ventilation as possible, and wear as many layers of gloves that you can get on your hands because it eats through your gloves so quickly. I've gone through today some very nice dentist gloves, which I can tell you now, they don't let air in and they don't let air out. That is for sure. And then just the standard rubber gloves. So my job today is to get as much of this old adhesive off the inside as possible. Try and clean that up so that when we get down to the point where we can actually start looking to install our new interior carpet, this task of cleaning will already be ticked off. We are hoping to meet with someone this week to look at samples for marine interior carpet, which is pretty exciting because removing that was probably one of the worst jobs I've ever had on a boat. I haven't removed a toilet, so that could probably be my worst. But for the time being, this has been the worst. So I'm going to proceed with that, get most of it off, and hopefully make her a bit more cleaner and tighter inside. Once I've basically got all of that off, I'm going to then proceed with just giving her a hoover and a dust out. Doesn't mean the dust in here is not going to happen, because we have still got cork flooring to go in. We're also redoing our bench top with a new product, which is going to be quite exciting. Apparently I have to get my creative fingers involved. And yeah, she's coming along really well.
So we've taken the opportunity to not work on the boat and go away. We've got a long weekend down here this weekend. Just stopped at Bruny Island Cheeses, which is pretty much a regular stop for us on the way past. Meal once again, top notch, and I think it's time to head to the shack and get settled in for a couple of days. If you like the video, hit thumbs up and subscribe, and hit the bell to receive any notifications of upcoming episodes.